Hello everyone. In this session we will discuss something about JSON. So understanding JSON is quite important because in our upcoming sessions we will talk about JSON quite frequently. So JSON is a JavaScript object notation and it's a standard for exchanging data on the web. So you might all have understanding on the XML part, so that is also required for the exchanging data over the web. So we generally use that in SOAP APIs and also in case of many other configuration at different application level. Similarly, in case of JSON also, that's a standard for exchanging the data. So suppose we are talking to an API, right? Nowadays the REST APIs are becoming quite popular if we compare it with the SOAP web services. So in that case, JSON plays a quite important role because the REST architecture or the REST APIs or we say the RESTful APIs, those are totally based on the JSON as the foundation for exchanging the data. So when we send the request to the API in the JSON format and get back the response. So let's understand this. So that's a lightweight data interchange format and it's quite easy to read and write than XML. In case of XML, we have different we have tags to represent the attributes or and their values. But in case of JSON, we have objects. So objects can be of different types. Those that supports array, object, string, number, and values. So we'll discuss this with an example. And most important thing is these are language independent. So that's why those are JSON is also used to make different type of configuration. Like within the database, we have to do configuration or the middleware application. Those are also used. But here we are confined to the APIs. How APIs use JSON, right? So suppose we have a employee record or we say we have any ordering system. So the whole there will be a structure, a JSON structure of that particular order. So all the element, all the attributes will be defined within the JSON. So we'll discuss this with a simple and one complex JSON example also. So let's begin with the first example. So let's now discuss a simple example on JSON. So this is a JSON to represent the employee record. So in this case, as you can see, this is the simplest JSON. So let's zoom in little bit. Yeah. So here, as you can see, so this whole is a JSON object. So this whole is a JSON object, right? And these all are the elements: name, salary, and married status that represent the employee record. Now let's see what all data types it has. So we have show JS types, and so see how easy it is to understand the JSON here. So this employee as a whole represent the object. Within the employee we have name as string, salary as a number, and married as a boolean value. So different data types can be used to represent a JSON object, right? And other than that, within if we will when we will discuss the next complex example, we will get to know we can have objects also as an attributes within the JSON. So employee can have its own objects, name can have its own objects, and there can be arrays also, there can be objects also. So let's understand that with a complex example. So this is the little bit complex example we can understand, or we can use to understand the how a nested JSON looks like, right? So here, as you can see, we have this JSON that represents the data. Within the JSON we have multiple records with main ID 1, main ID 122. So here, as you can see, here the data is represented by an array and this one. And within the array, so array has two elements here. It's mentioned here. It has two elements. One is the main ID with what 1111 and second one is the 122. So that's how it is represented in the JSON. So this whole forms the object. and within the object we have these values which are of different data types. And see here the nested object, the categories here itself is also an array, right? So this is also an array and it has one element, array of objects. Why? Because this category ID in itself is an object and category name is itself also an object. What type of object it is? It is a string object, and this one is the number objects. So I would request you all to try different examples to understand this using this site. I will share the link in the resource part, and so you should have a solid understanding on JSON because that will be used quite frequently in our upcoming sessions. So thank you all. Let's move to our next session.